This is Michael Ware. You're listening to the Morning Five, brought to you in partnership with the That Sounds Fun Network, supported by the Center for Christianity and Public Life. Today is Wednesday, May 17, 2023. I want to continue with reading in Romans 8 today. So let's do that. Therefore, brothers and sisters, we have an obligation, but it is not to the flesh to live according to it. But if you live according to the flesh, you will die. But if by the Spirit you put to death the misdeeds of the body, you will live. For those who are led by the Spirit of God are the children of God. The Spirit you received does not make you slaves so that you live in fear again. Rather, the Spirit you received brought about your adoption to sonship. And by him we cry, Abba, Father. The Spirit himself testifies with our spirit that we are God's children. Now, if we are children, then we are heirs, heirs of God and co-heirs with Christ. If indeed we share in his sufferings, in order that we may also share in his glory. May God bless the reading of his word. Well, it's good to be with you. Had a great birthday yesterday. Thank you for all the birthday wishes. It's interesting in my faith. Different books and different passages strike me in different seasons, but I became a Christian after reading Romans, and there's still something about this book that is incredibly moving to me. And it reminds me of the way that God finds each of us right where we are. And I'm thankful to God for that he found me. All right, let's get to today's news. First, a update on the debt limit fight. President Biden, or I should say debt limit negotiations. President Biden, there was another meeting at the White House. President Biden has indicated that there's significant differences. There's now significant concern on the Democratic side that President Biden has put on the table work requirements in key poverty programs, SNAP leading among them. Progressive Democrats oppose work requirements as a matter of principle. I should say many progressive Democrats do. Not only because of who it cuts out of receiving these programs, but also the difficulty the work requirements place on administering the program. There's concern among the head of the Progressive Caucus, for one, that President Biden is going to use compromises that, in their view, throw the poor under the bus in order to get a debt limit agreement. And so that's the latest. President Biden is cutting short a trip that he was taking overseas, which indicates that he feels he's going to need to be hands-on in this in the closing weeks. And I just remind you that there is this June 1st deadline that the Treasury Secretary has laid out as June 1st being when America will have bills to pay over the current debt ceiling. Right. The second item, I told you earlier this week about Governor Roy Cooper in North Carolina vetoing this 12-week abortion ban, and noted that the North Carolina legislature would have to override the veto if the bill was going to become law, and they couldn't lose one Republican to do so. wasn't necessarily expecting them to move so fast, but they did. The North Carolina legislature has passed the bill. The new law is set to take effect July 1st. The critical vote in this was Tricia Cotham. Now, Tricia Cotham is a North Carolina House rep from Mecklenburg County who in April, just last month, changed her party affiliation from Democrat to Republican. She ran as a Democrat who had fairly, on her website and sort of in her campaign materials, had fairly standard for Democrats, a pro-Roe position. She voted for this ban. And I want to read from her statement. Cotham wrote in her statement that she understands there are, quote, extremists on both sides of the abortion issue. Some of the absolutists believe abortion is unacceptable in any circumstance, and some of the absolutists believe aborting a perfectly healthy child in the 40th week of pregnancy is morally acceptable. I cannot support either of these extreme positions. She said, she wrote, abortion is a complicated issue without absolute answers. It's an unpleasant subject for many women. After extensive review, I believe this bill strikes a reasonable balance on the abortion issue and represents a middle ground that anyone not holding one of the two extremist positions can support. And so again, this 12-week ban, there are some exceptions after from the ban after 12 weeks, but essentially a 12-week ban will go into effect on July 1st. Finally, Kentucky held primary elections yesterday, and Daniel Cameron, who is the Kentucky Attorney General, you might remember him from the Republican convention in 2020. Daniel Cameron, who is the state's first black attorney general, won the Republican nomination as part of a 12-candidate field, overcoming Kelly Craft, who served as UN ambassador in the Trump administration and the state's agriculture commissioner. He'll face the incumbent, Andy Beshear. Andy Beshear, the Beshear family, and is huge in Kentucky politics. Andy Beshear has been a governor that Democrats have lifted up. He gave a State of the Union response address. So it will be, I think, a pretty hotly contested general election in November for the governorship in Kentucky. All right, that is your Morning Five for today. Let's close, as we always do, with the Lord's Prayer. This is Dallas Willard's rendition of the Lord's Prayer. Dear Father, always near us, may your name be treasured and loved. May your rule be completed in us. May your will be done here on earth in just the way it is done in heaven. Give us today the things we need today, and forgive us our sins and impositions on you as we are forgiving all who in any way offend us. Please don't put us through trials, but deliver us from everything bad, because you are the one in charge, and you have all the power, and the glory too is all yours forever, which is just the way we want it. All right, friends. Thank you so much for listening. Talk to you tomorrow.